We're live on YouTube and we are live on Instagram. Hello, Hola, Konnichiwa, Salaam, Ciao Namaste. Peace to all. This is the Pink Elf in the Room conversation. And of course, we're back again now for part two of the Power Within Self. And what we'll be discussing is a little bit more in detail of the importance of what's already within who you are as a person. And we're just going to simply begin with your intelligence and wisdom. A lot of us, as we are growing in life, not all of us, but many of us may feel we're not smart enough to be with certain people, not intelligent enough that we can't do what others do because we don't have the same skills or the same intelligence or the same wisdom. And this is a flawed mistake to see within who you are. To be honest, no one is truly stupid. Stupid is simply a standard of what we've created. We don't know what a person is doing for the reason of why they're doing. Sometimes when people do stupid things, it might be, of course, to blind them from the truth, of course. Sometimes it's simply what they are being in their experience. And of course, sometimes it's just simply that's who they are. That doesn't mean, however, that someone's stupid. Truth is, anyone can change their intelligence easily if they so choose. Everything is a choice. It's a choice to believe you desire to be dumb-minded, or as we would say, or it's a choice to decide to be your intelligence, to be the genius you already are. It doesn't take a school or books to tell you how intelligent you are. What helps you to realize how intelligent you are is what you choose for yourself. If you choose to be intelligent, then you will be that which you are. If you choose not to be, then you will not be that. It's all a choice. Question is, what are you choosing in being who you are as a person? How do we even get to this intelligence? Most of the time, it's pretty simple. In my own experience, it simply took getting to know who I truly am under the skin. I had a lot of times in my life where I had people who made me feel as though I was not smart, and that had put me to the test of believing I had to work harder than other people to be intelligent. And truth is, as time progressed, I realized I was already intelligent, highly intelligent. And of course, some people might take that as arrogance. It's not really arrogance because you're all intelligent. I don't think with a superiority complex like I'm the only person who has this intelligence. Everybody does have this intelligence. The only difference, though, for me from maybe many others would be the fact that I chose to understand this part of who I am as a person and growing who I am. Get to know yourself better as above, so below. When you are recognizing who you are as a person, you realize no matter what anyone told you you need to learn or be or morally need to be or any of those things, none of that matters. All that matters is what you're choosing for self and growing who you are. The interesting thing about the power within self is the fact that we're constantly distracted by other people's thoughts and morals, that we at times take them as our own instead of looking to find what we morally enjoy within ourselves that grows us. It's something vitally important to realize what works for you, not what works for the world, what works for you to grow and be the best you can just truly be. As a thought you should constantly think about is, what more can you do to be the best you truly are? Next thing is just read. Reading helps not only advance your knowledge and information, but it helps you to scatter past all the nonsense of what's going on with the world, or even with you, to get to know what works for you. In my own experience, I use what I call information meditation. And what I do is I will sit there constantly and take in loads of information I scatter through until I decide what does not work for me and what doesn't, pushing something away I don't truly need that may not work for me personally. Maybe it'll work for someone else, but then taking what is useful to me and growing self and going forward. Taking constant steps to grow who you are is vitally important. So take time to read through information to understand your world around you. Information does not always mean reading a book. Sometimes it means listening to an audio. Maybe for some people, people feel like, well, I'm not a fast reader. I can't do that. Okay, that's fine. Of course, still read as much as you can, but at the same time, find other ways you can go about it. One of my biggest things I do is I listen to audiobooks, listen to a lot of documentaries, um, a lot of audio documentaries that give information. I listen to a lot of event speeches that are discussed, a lot of different people to gain information and understanding. I listen to certain newscasts. I don't really care for what's in the media of television because of the fact of it's very one-sided. I look for what is raw, and even if I don't personally feel or agree with it, I look further in for myself to understand it to the utmost high of who I am as a person, trying to observe what truly is. Observe it very closely and understand and read and grow in information to understand your world, if not your galaxy, if not your universe around you, to know who you truly are under that skin. That it doesn't really matter what people tell you is right or wrong. The question is what works and what doesn't work as you are walking through your experience of what you call life. Hmm? The next thing is meditation. Meditate. Like I said earlier, as above, so below. As in movement, so should be still. We're constantly moving back and forth, trying to get things done, trying to make things happen, trying to maybe work to pay bills, trying whatever we're doing, we're working, we're doing things, we're constantly in motion. And maybe we even get stressed, we get frustrated, we get scared. due to what happens to us in our everyday life. For some people, it could be a simple moment of everything is going fine until you get laid off from a job. And the whole world comes collapsing down on you. Maybe you've grown wealth and you lost it all. Or maybe you were living somewhere nice and you got kicked out. What does this even have to do with anything, you might be asking? We're constantly in motion, worried about those things we fear, those things that are going on around us. And when you take the time to just be still, you'd be surprised at the answers you'll come up with to change your reality. Or even if that's not the case, changing your emotional mental state. Meditation for me has helped me emotionally to think and realize how important it is to observe before reacting towards things. Understand yourself first to understand those before you. And you'll see how important meditation can benefit you. Understanding your world, your species, and yourself, your universe. Understand all these parts of who you are. Because all of this is you to begin with. In essence, it's energy. And all this energy is connected. It is simply placed into different individualities of being the whole, as you would call the collective. That being said, observe everything, understand everything around you, and you'll see a bigger picture instead of the simple fact of perhaps you don't like how someone said something to you. Have you ever thought, what made them say that? Now, many people might not even care to want to desire to understand that because they think, I don't really care. He said something or she said something rude to me, so I'm going to say something rude back. But what led to this? Asking those questions of why people act the way they are will give you a bigger understanding. Looking deeper within to understand that person's situation, if possible, can allow you to understand the bigger picture. It can even allow you to understand the bigger picture with your entire species, certain things they do in certain countries that may not make sense to you. Maybe you're thinking it's wrong because of what you believe in your country, but you haven't observed the reasoning as to what led or came to these conclusions with different countries, different people, and different leaders, different heroes, different people from all around the world, different cultures, different lifestyles. What led them to be the way they are? And that's what you have to really think about. Some people might take offense to certain things you say because as a species, we can be quite sensitive, especially in today's day and age, due to such a belief that ignorance is real. We believe people to be ignorant, and we get upset over the most smallest thing that they do. It could be a joke, perhaps even a dark one. And it's understandable if we do not desire those things. Understandable. Very understandable. But we take things too seriously to the point of not willing to understand and love each other the way we desire. We split ourselves, in fact, believing if you're not a part of this group, you're not doing it the right way. And we got I am Miss T waving high, and hey, if you're not doing certain things the right way, then you're doing it wrong, is our thought process. And that's really a flawed mistake to look at. We have still to this very day have not learned and not changed in history the fact of how important it is for us to unite as one and work with each other. We would rather believe splitting each other, being proud of our country, and everything else is the most important thing. And some people might think, like, how could you not believe otherwise? Because of the fact that it has not changed the entire world as a whole by us being split apart the way we are. We have borders, we have rules and regulations of people and ways you can go to places and whatnot. And we have still not come to a conclusion of how to work with each other. Understanding all the information and looking at it for what it really is, why we're like that, because of belief systems. Why do people act like that? Because someone made them believe this to be true. Why we do not think on our own terms. Because we are constantly told what is true is this and this is real information. Why do we not question everything we're told? I would even say question even what I'm saying. Because this is not your truth. Your truth is within yourself, whether I'm giving you this information. Sure, it can help you. It can push you to where you desire to go. But at the end of the day, the choice is within you to find what works and what doesn't work. It's not within some leader, a politician, a hero maybe you believe in, a heroine. It's within you that you choose what works and what doesn't work for you in order to understand and have more insight of your world, your galaxy, your universe that you live in. When you have understanding of this, it becomes a lot easier to deal with situations of what people may do, whether it brings drama or not. Get to know who you truly are under your skin and love yourself truly. That is one thing that is vitally important. Love yourself, even in growing, even when you feel you make mistakes in your own intelligence. Realize how important it is to love yourself when you're going through your experience. You may feel like a failure, you're not. The choice is yours to believe if you're a failure or not. So take time to yourself. Give yourself time and love yourself unconditionally and keep fighting the good fight within who you are to grow who you are. You at least deserve that. And of course, last, well, for intelligence anyways, is emotional intelligence. When we talk about meditation, observation, understanding the world, when you understand these things, it helps with working towards your emotional intelligence towards things. You do not start reacting anymore because someone said something and now you feel you have to prove a point. You see it for what it is. You see the person angry or in fear, and they're showing that. And you are listening, or maybe you're not. But if you listen very closely, observe what is the true reason they are the way they are being at this point in time. You can then ask the next question of how to approach that simply. Instead of lashing out or even getting into an argument. Even if you do get into an argument, you will most likely, if not, maybe you won't, and this will lead into the next thing. Um, have an understanding of that person. If you don't, well, it just means you just need to grow your experience. And when you are growing your experience, you are now growing your wisdom. Wisdom comes from experience of things that have happened to you before that you have now knowledge and understanding of. And of course, it takes time. Wisdom is not so simple to gain. You can advance, you can be highly advanced in intelligence, but it takes time for wisdom because you are constantly growing. In fact, we in our society believe us to be full grown adults somewhere between, if we're talking in different countries, it can be as early as your teens to at least 21. However, you don't truly advance until you're at least in your 60s or so and being what is known as a true adult. You might be thinking, some of you, and I've said this before, and some, well, you might be thinking, how is that even possible? Remember, moral standards have stated how old you are to be considered an adult. But if we're talking both just physically, mentally, emotionally, you are not there until you get to 60, or if not 80 or more. When you get to that age, and I've seen this quite often with elders, they are much more intelligent in understanding certain situations. Many of them are more open to letting you understand, to break the rules, to understand things, to grow self. Of course, you got family that's not. Of course, you know people probably will not. But there are many elders who understand that level. It at times seems like they're a whole different person. I've met people who are old and they just, a lot of the things they didn't make sense, and then out of nowhere they're a completely different person when they get older. People who are younger than that are physically stronger. You are constantly growing in intelligence and understanding. That doesn't mean you cannot grow wise. Some people will grow advanced in wisdom for the simple fact of what they bring forth around them or what they choose. That's one of the things that's happened to me, but at the same time I am still constantly growing, even in my own wisdom. There's never a dull moment that I believe to think that I'm completely wise or I'm completely intelligent, because I know myself not to be, because I am constantly growing. And the reason why I am not that is because truth constantly changes. So I'm still changing in intelligence, changing in wisdom as I grow to find something that fully works for self and growing who I am. Now, of course, the other thing I wanted to keep in mind is your instinct or intuition. Your instinct is something that is, or intuition is something that gives you the capability of feeling energy as it is. It is a very impressive tool because what it does is it is literally an ear to advance you to understand something. You can hear something before you even hear it, in a sense, or you can see it before you already see it. An advancement in that understanding. When you are looking within self, understanding the power you already have, one of the biggest things is your instincts. Now, we may see this in many animals. They start to feel a certain way when they hear something, and you see birds fly away from something. And the same thing is within you. This is not primitive in any way. This is actually a very technical ability that all of us have that is vitally important, because what it can do is allow you to be warded off or understand when danger's coming, when to be cautious and when to understand. We give a lot of our power to other people to protect us and do not realize how important it is to learn to protect ourselves and being who we are. Protection starts from within. If you're getting protection from someone else, you're giving away your power to someone else. Instead of realizing that power within self that you are capable of to protect yourself, to grow yourself, or to fight for yourself. And that's something you should understand. It's the same thing, for example, when you are giving someone money, there's a choice of how you give it. Maybe you're giving someone money to help them out or whatnot. But if they become to the point of where it's a habit, and let's say you take that away from them one day, you've now taken their power. And this is why it's so important to learn both sides. It's perfectly fine if you need help with something, but at the same time, know your power within, that you do not need those things to protect you or anything, but grow within yourself. Literally learn. I mean, it's far too often that you have women who feel a certain way about certain things that happen in life, and they call it women's intuition. And the same for men. It's men's instinct then. You all have it. You just simply have to use it. It takes time. It takes practice, especially for people who don't understand that part of who they are, where you have to feel certain things. Yeah, meditate. For me, I can't personally explain it to that degree of what you have to do, because I've naturally been born with that. Because of being an empath, I deeply feel energy and I deeply feel emotions. I can read people like a book. But what I can say is that from what I've learned, the more you learn how your own empathy within yourself, the more you meditate, the more you take time to yourself, if you so choose. Even if you meditate by doing something else, you can go for a walk into nature or go for a walk, period. Or take your dog for a walk, go cook. Or maybe if you're one of those people who enjoys cleaning, that suits you. Meditate on those different things to truly look within self and see what works for you, what you're truly capable of. Because as you are learning these things and growing these things, you will advance to a height of, is known as clairvoyancy, seeing it before it already happens. Now, some people might think, well, no, humans can't be that or this and that, and that's a flawed mistake. The reason why it's flawed is because you are limiting yourself in understanding due to what you believe is true instead of observing what works for you. Everyone is a psychic. How you use that ability is up to you. Now, you might feel, of course, that might not be true, but you have to think of it simply like this. Psychic energy or psychic abilities is not something that just magically happens. If you are training to lift weights, if you are training to get your body to look a certain way, you are practicing and working out perhaps every day to make it happen. That being said, it is no different from your psychic energy. If you are not working it out every day, you cannot be surprised if it does not do what you don't know or do not believe it to do. You have to practice it, you have to work it out, you have to constantly put it in motion in order for it to get to that point. There are times, for example, due to just years for me, understanding when there's times where I may not desire to go anywhere, not because I don't desire to, but I just have a gut feeling it's not a good time. Or I might just simply take my time because of a feeling I have. Might take my time a little more until I decide to go to wherever I'm going to go. So it's all a choice up to you and understanding that and practicing that. But what does this exactly have to do with the soul? As part two, what this has to do with the soul is simply realizing at the end of the day who you truly are. Yes, you are a human being. You're being human. And that being said, in your experience, you can make a choice to be your most high of who you are and loving yourself and realizing no matter what people say, you being a failure or this and that, it's really a choice of you deciding to choose what shall you be. Using your energy to the fullest to understand your intelligence and growing and gaining information, meditating and taking time to yourself and realizing that yes, you'll make mistakes, it's okay, but that is you growing in your wisdom because as time goes on, there'll be someone you too will be talking about to help them. You perhaps have been in the same scenario as them. And that is because of the wisdom within who you already are. Your instinct, being able to realize the power within that we become so afraid of danger and everything else that we don't realize we literally have a mechanism that will tell us when danger's around and allow us to be cautious with what's going on. And even if you feel like, well, I can't be cautious all the time, you can observe everything. It'll allow you to realize and focus on that type of energy, the clairvoyancy, your psychic energy, your instinct, your intuition. You're observing everything, you will know and understand how you wish to proceed forward with whatever situation you're going through. Period. Unless you don't. So, this is the reasoning. This is the conclusion. We're going to end it right here. But to everybody out there, just realize you are the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within. And to everybody out there, have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. To everybody, peace and namaste.